Welcome home all. Welcome to SuperMex Nation, and welcome to Wednesday, the hump day, not the wrap-in Monday. And we've got a full show planned for you today, not abbreviated, not short, but a good, I think we'll cut prior to an hour. Got some meat and potato stuff that I've had kind of on the chest, ready to get off, and I think absolutely necessary, apropos, obviously, for the time. I've made statements not only recently, but also in the Facebook group and my Facebook page, letting you know that we can't go any further than getting ugly in the current political climate. So we'll get to that and we'll flesh it out and give you a look at some stuff that you can actually bite down on and agree on, if not for the sake of fact, because we live in a post-fact world apparently, where not everything you hear is believable, or not everything you hear you want to believe. Because I've quite literally seen people that, faced with facts, just choose not to acknowledge them and just say that they're not actually fact. So where do you go? I don't want to talk about a school book, a textbook, because we'll never get there. But short of that, we got good meat and potatoes for you. So again, welcome home. Welcome to SuperMex Nation. Veteran voice in the Valley and the mind of Mexican America for you out there in the world, all over the country. So what I'm going to do is lay down for you, and I posted a little bit earlier, so give you a forewarning. I'm going to talk and break down in my own style, my own fashion, not necessarily just the dictionary definition, but the point to what it is to be liberal, what it is to be conservative, and why it's not good to be entirely one or the other. If in fact what you should want is a healthy balance of both. That's actually when country or government or society or nation state operates efficiently and smoothly, is when you have a balance of those two ideologies on a spectrum from the left to the right, and they all meet in the middle, and it's balanced for everybody. It may mean that the far left and the far right don't get everything they want, but what does happen is that everybody in the middle clearly gets what they want, or better yet, gets more of what they deserve or need for the majority of the country. So that's quite literally what we're doing today. And then I'm going to break down even further beyond that. And I'm going to show you, because I've heard this quite a few. And call it a refutation tonight. Call it a refutation of things that I've heard that I know are wrong and I know can't possibly be true. However, if you hear them loud and hard enough, it may sink in to your psyche and you may begin to believe it. But I think you guys all know the maxim. I posted on my wall more than a few times, and quite literally that the more often, to repeat a falsehood enough times will result in what in essence is not a truism, but what you would believe to be a truism. Repeat a lie often enough and it becomes truth. If you hear nothing else and you know nothing else, then by simple deduction and common human experience, you will move to that thing, the only thing that you do know. So if all you listen to is this one brand, one idea, one philosophy, one ideology, then what you will end up being is that thing. When you lose the intellectual curiosity necessary to listen to more than just one form, then you become just that one form, and that's not healthy. And I'll say that here and argue with anybody. So what I want to point out is that the term liberal and the term conservative on a political spectrum, if not just a strictly philosophical spectrum, because it can mean liberal or conservative can be something other than what it is in a political sense. Okay, it doesn't have to be political. It could be entirely social. It could actually be artistic. I would hate to shudder and think what the art world would be like if all art was entirely conservative. Then you wouldn't have much change at all, and you wouldn't have innovation, you wouldn't have creation, you wouldn't have works of art that are reflective of the times that they are created in. There would be no Jackson Pollock, there would be no Cézanne, there would be no Leonardo. They, at their time, were liberal in their approach to their artistic practices. And so they went beyond the conservative, which was the past, and values or traditions that were established and stayed with those. That's conservatism at its core. Take those things and stay with those things. You can see how that can be good, but in the case of, and I'm drawing comparison for you, in the case of the artistic world, and that definitely, and I've said this to you many a time because some people have asked me like, well, are you liberal or conservative? I said, I'm both. depending on the issue, depending on the topic. In this particular case, would I be more conservative when it comes to artistic preference? I'm conservative in the sense that I do appreciate masters and classical forms of art. Classic can mean at any different period, but I do appreciate those that came before. But to be creative and to innovate and to come up with something new and truly genius, you have to be liberal in approach to your art. And the same for, and here's where I really am clear to most of my audience, I'm very liberal, at least liberal in intent, when it comes to technology and innovation. Definitely for what we would have not just in business, but also in military and military creation when it comes to our weaponry. If we were entirely conservative, we'd be fighting with a musket and bayonet. Clearly, that wouldn't work today. It wouldn't last. And the Raptors and the railguns and the nukes that we have are all entirely products of a liberal mindset applied to a conservative field. And that's why I tell you that it's really healthy to be balanced in your approach. Now, why am I bringing up those things? Well, because I feel, on that end, so you can understand, I don't want you to be, well, at least on my end, I don't want to be entirely liberal on everything, or excuse me, conservative on everything. I want to be liberal and conservative on everything. So when it is applied to the obvious one, which is the nature of our show, right? Socio-cultural and political, you have to have, or at least attempt to achieve a balance. When you don't have that balance, that's when things kind of go off the rails. And I would say we're kind of right there right now, that we don't have that balance. The beginning of this country, our founding fathers were entirely liberal and conservative. You'd make the case, and it's a legitimate one, and I'll argue with anybody as a former history teacher, that the values and the concepts and the fundamental principles upon which our country was founded for that time, not today, mind you, disclaimer and make sure point of clarification, for that time were entirely liberal. Why? Because conservative at that time was about autocracy, about monarchy, about hereditary families, about no rule of law. It was about rule of the monarch. That was conservatism in the late 1700s into the 1800s. Obviously, we were not that. We were liberal in intent. We believed in a fundamental free press, freedoms such as right to bear arms, right to free speech, freedom of the press, etc. Those things would not have happened if it was a conservative mindset. The very nature of us rebelling against a king and a monarch was entirely a liberal concept. Definitely was not conservative. If you were a conservative in the late 1700s in this country, you were more than likely a loyalist to the Crown of England. And therefore, we wouldn't have a country, and we definitely wouldn't be the United States today. So with that bit of a history lesson, and anybody worth their salt that knows history understands what I'm talking about, liberalism, liberality, and conservatism need to achieve some form of balance for a healthy structure to operate. I'm directly telling you right now, we don't have that balance. What we have is a knee-jerk response and reaction one to the other. We bounce one way or the other with no stop in the middle. The middle is where the majority of America resides, by the way. But we get pulled to the ends, the polar opposite ends, by the party system. That by very nature is their intent. They're supposed to bring you along with them and their ideology. They don't want you being on the other side and agreeing on anything. That's left or right. They want you in your camp here and here. I am intrigued, and we'll see how this goes forward, and I'm monitoring this personally, and I'm reading a lot, monitoring a lot. I'm interested, and we're going to kind of get into that a little bit tonight about where we go forward. The traditional set of values, conservative or liberal, are being moved and morphed, and they may be so hard left and so hard right that it may allow for space and room in the middle for the majority of America, because the majority of America actually is more like itself, more like each other, we are, than the far left and the far right extremes of each of the parties. That's a fact. But again, the party structure is designed to put you in those camps, put you in those boxes, label you, chalk you up as another vote, another number, another tax dollar. That's quite literally what it is. So I'm interested as we go forward from where we are right now, as we get to a point where it's really toxic and really not, a good situation in terms of the political structure. Where does this go? Because, as I've stated and stipulated a few times over the past few weeks, I'm beginning really to monitor this current generation. Okay, I can explicitly tell you that I have worked with the millennial generation now for a good 20 plus years, 25 years since I've been out of the Army. They are the group that I've worked with the most. From the time I got out of the Army and started coaching, started mentoring, started teaching, started working with our youth in my area, in my particular neck of the woods in Fresno, California, I can tell you directly that that group is my wheelhouse. And I'm extremely optimistic about who and what they are. Is there bad? Of course. There's bad and good in any generation. But what I did state, I believe when Brother Miller was here on the Monday, I mentioned to him because my thought is moving more and more in that direction with these young people. My point is that they are aware of our problems more so than any generation that has come before them. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. That's not an exaggeration or an overestimation, but they're really acutely aware of our problems and our issues. And unlike my generation or the generation prior, they don't just want to live in America. They want to actually do something about the issues that we have. We didn't do that. I know I didn't, and others didn't. Didn't start doing that till well into our adulthood. We lived, did our thing, and we were okay. We were happy to just go along for the show, be sheep, and be shepherded one way or the other. But these people, these young people, they're acutely aware of our issues and our problems, and they want to do something about it. And therein lies the reason for my optimism. I'm probably going to do a show specifically on what I term my case for the millennial. My case, the SuperMex case for the millennial, and what they're going to be able to do for us. So what I want to do is I want to illustrate that point, and I want to talk about the liberal and conservative continuum in America and in American politics, and how it isn't healthy to just be one or the other. There's no balance. And right now we literally quite have a nation that is out of balance. And you can say, if you're a Republican, that it's the Democrats' fault, and you can say it's a Democrat, then it's all Republicans' fault. Go ahead. All you are doing is literally continuing to upset the balance. Keep doing it, because that's where it goes. I don't know if it can get any worse, because it's pretty damn bad right now. I did say, and I have said, that this election's going to be ugly. This election's going to be dirty. All bets are going to be off, and there's going to be no bottom floor to how ugly it gets. I don't think anybody's doubting that. I will attempt to be, a clarion call through the din, so that you understand that there are some of us that believe that there needs to be balance, whether you're Republican or Democrat. And whether you like that or not, at this point it's irrelevant. That's who I am. That's what I believe. All right? I do have hard views one way or the other when it comes to Democrat or Republican policies, or libertarian policies, or Green Party policies. All of them. Healthy, balanced, a balanced approach to finding out as much as you possibly can about the different looks and the different ideas. The truth is, just about every party has something good in it. Just about. Let's be reasonable. It's up to you to quite literally find what that good thing is. And if you're not willing to do that, well, that's on you. That's your choice, by the way. And I entirely stand by your choice. So here's some things that I'm going to point out to you that give me cause for optimism. Those of you that have been with me for a while and watch the show regularly, you probably know where I'm going with this, because I do believe it is definitely a cause, if not a belief, for and in optimism when it comes to where we go as a country. And I'm going to give you some hard statistics and facts. Okay, unless you want to call me fake news, well then, don't listen, go somewhere else. I ain't doing that here. All right, I'm going to give you some facts. And by the way, most of you tune in because I always tell you the truth, and I don't bring you anything that is a lie. All right, and I do research. I do my due diligence to make sure the material I'm bringing you is quality and credible. You may not like it. You may not like the message. Maybe you don't even like the messenger, me. I don't know why you're watching in that case, but you may not like any of those. But what I'm asking you to do is give it an open mind and an open listen, because you may actually learn something that you might not have known prior. And heaven forbid you actually learn something that might actually help you get along with your neighbor, or maybe see the good in somebody as opposed to always finding the negative, because I see a lot of that right now. And I think generally we can all agree on that. I hope. Okay, so here's where it's at. Veterans and members of the military. Knowing that those who represent you in the government are also a veteran is reassuring. When you hear that your members of Congress have served in the military, you feel that they will better understand what you and your family are going through, what your needs are, etc., what the needs of the country are. Now, we had a dip for a while there over the last couple of decades, going back to, I want to say, the 70s into the 80s, definitely. There was a time when the percentage of veterans in the Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, was a fairly good number. And there are stats that, I don't have all of it, we'll be here all night. But I'm going to give you some stats about the current. It used to be much higher. There was a dip in amount of veterans that actually served in the Congress, again, in the House or in the Senate. That number deteriorated and dropped down. I think you understand where I'm going. That number is beginning to increase. Therein lies the optimism, and I think you know where I'm going. When that number decreased, you began to see more toxicity. You began to see more partisanship. Somebody willing to place their D or their R, Democrat or Republican, ahead of their belief in what the country needs, because they believe entirely that what they believe in their party is what's best for the country. I could understand how you can do that. You want to marry and align with all of that. I get it, because there's strength in numbers. But the minute we started doing that, we lost strength in individual. Somebody willing to stand up and call something out as wrong simply because it's wrong. Instead, you have tribalism. They go to their tribe, their party, and they stay with it, even knowing that some of the things they're doing are wrong or not good for the country. They do it anyway. You have a few. All right, you have a few. And as this number increases in the Congress, again, the House and the Senate, as that number increases, veterans that have served and placed their country before party, their country before politicians, their country before individual politicians, presidents, speakers, or whatever. Now you have the ability to have somebody in the House get together and work with each other to do what's best for the country first. Because I'm going to say it. War breaks out, you get square with your country real quick. Party? That's out the door. I don't know you, don't know who you are. I'm here for my country. Red, white, and blue, baby. That's what it ends up being. That's where the priorities lie. So that's coming. So here's what I've got for you. In the November 2018 midterms, there were 435 House seats, 35 Senate seats up for grabs. Over 200 veterans ran for office in the 2018 midterms, with 18 veterans winning their first term in the House of Representatives and only one new in the Senate. This is in addition to what was already there. So it's good because it's a fresh mark to show that there are more veterans beginning to run. I'm going to get to that in a second. More veterans beginning to. So, percentage of veterans in Congress. If you look at the United States as a whole, the amount of veterans has dropped. Now, I'm talking about the entire country. I'm not talking about just the Congress, House, Senate, etc. Okay? So the entire country, the amount of veterans has dropped. We have less people serving. According to the Census Bureau, 7% of Americans were veterans in 2016. 7%. That's the entire country. 300 plus million people, only 7% of them were actually vets, compared to 18%. Now, it may not seem like a lot because we're talking about the teens and single digits. Okay, like, wait a minute, that's not much of a number. Okay, but it is significant. In 1980, there were 18% of the population was veteran, having served. 7% in 2016 is what we have. So a marked drop-off. We dropped off by more than half. 7% to 18, twice as much in 1980 as there were in 2016. According to Pew Research, Gulf War vets have passed the amount of Vietnam-era vets. Now that's a combination. There are more wars currently. We're still in some, obviously. The Persian Gulf War, the first one, which I served in the first time, the first Gulf War, and then subsequent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, different names, different terms. But you couple all those together, and what you have is a number that is now larger than Vietnam-era veterans. And unfortunately, some of that is because some of them have passed. A number of them have passed, and more are continuing to pass. I'm fortunate, as of right now, I've lost 2 of the 4 uncles that I had on my mom or dad's side have passed. Okay, so it's age. They're getting older. Some of them didn't last as long. They're not going to be around much longer. And the younger set, the younger generation, my age, younger vet, is growing in number. Okay, so there's more vets. Numbers beginning to increase. See, as of 2016, there were 6.8 million vets and 7.1 million Gulf War vets. And I believe this research is terming Gulf War again. My time from the first Persian Gulf War up until now, all of it in between Iraq and Afghanistan. So 7.1 million Gulf War vets, 6.8 million Vietnam vets. And obviously that number is going to increase on the Gulf War side and decrease on the Vietnam side for the obvious reasons. Those who are considered Gulf War vets are those who have served from 1990 to present. That's me. And there is some overlap between the two, a little bit. The draft ended in 1973, and since then the U.S. military has been all volunteer. While having served is important and beneficial when it comes to issues all veterans face, it is also encouraging that we've seen an increase in post-9/11 veterans to possibly help address the specific issues and concerns faced by these younger generations of vets. Who better to articulate a message and address issue than the very veterans that we're talking about? These young guys and gals, okay? Post 9/11, 9/11 and later. They're younger than me, and I'll get to that in a second as I break down age groups. Again, we're giving you hard specifics here. You're getting some specific information to make you a little more educated today on veterans and veterans in Congress and the makeup of our country in terms of service personnel. So there are your hard numbers. 6.8 million vets, Vietnam. 7.1 million Gulf War vets. Post 9/11 veterans are now beginning to come out and run for office like never before. And I do believe it's going to continue to increase. And I'm entirely optimistic, if not enheartened, that that is going to be the case, because there's some good people there. Some really damn good people. It's talented. And we'll get to those, some of those in a second. Okay, so gradual but steady increase in veteran representation. Going back to the House of Representatives, there will be 18, or as of now, there were and are now 18 new members of the House who have served in the U.S. military. That's new, right in a number here. This is up from 14 total in 2016 and 12 in 2014 and 12. So over those past cycles, the previous 3 cycles, that number 18 represents a bigger percentage. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, 12 and 14, right? But we're definitely up. And I do believe that next cycle it's going to be even higher. Probably get to 20 and 20 plus. And now so you're compounding and you're adding them to the number that's all there. And where I'm going with this, you'll see in a second. So those in the military and veteran community see this as a big deal. I do. And are hoping for more veterans to run for Congress in the future. I do believe that's an inevitability. I do believe that is the case as of right now, and I don't think it's going to stop going forward. And that's a good thing. That's an entirely good thing. As far as the Senate goes, there is one incumbent vet who won. That is Rick Scott in Florida, a Republican legislator who is now the state senator, one of the state senators for Florida. There will be 19 veterans serving in the Senate as of now. So 19 out of 100, that's not a bad percentage. We're getting up to like 20%, 1/5, a decent number. It does matter when they caucus and they begin to draft bipartisan legislation. We're getting to that too. Of those 19 members of Congress, 3 are women veterans, 7 are Democrats, 12 are Republicans. As we look to these men and women, we hope that they will be able to bring the importance of veteran benefits and the military to Washington even more so than in the past. So I could stay with you and then give you a load of like veterans issues that we can discuss. There are plenty. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'll probably post it and put some stuff out in the SuperMex Nation forum because I think it's significant, and I do want you guys, I want this to be somewhere near the top of your head. There are issues that they're dealing with, PTSD, suicides. I mean, these things are gross and disgusting to me, knowing that I have brothers and sisters in arms that are dealing with these type of psychological issues and killing themselves. That's serious stuff. They sacrificed and gave their lives to their country on a piece of paper saying they would do anything for this country. And they're either killing themselves or dealing with serious PTSD and other forms of difficulty psychologically and mentally. All right? But we have currently, and I'm going to get to a few of those too. Got a lot coming for you tonight. Really got to hustle through. So, post 9/11 representation. Out of the 19 who have just been elected, at least 9 of them are Iraq and Afghanistan vets, current wars that we're still in right now. They have served after 9/11. This is the new world of battling terrorism. So it's a different form of combat. It's a different form of warfare. It's totally different than when I served. It's totally different than when my uncle served. Totally different than when my grandfather served. It's a different form of combat. But the cost, obviously, is still as lethal. It could mean your life, whether it's terrorism or a traditional hand-to-hand and trench-to-trench battle in a foxhole. It's the same, loss of life and lethality. This doesn't mean that veterans will take over the government, scare you, but the numbers are something to be aware of. They were important in this election and should be in any future election. As veterans and military members go to the voting booth, knowing that they do have a veteran option is important. I'm going to say it, it is important for me because I know the way I'm structured because of that time and energy and that belief in country that I spent in the United States Army. I do believe it is important. It is significant. It's not this, that you can shoot somebody. It's that you're willing to put your country before your party. You're willing to put your country before larger scale political ideologies that other people are professing. And they're not willing to sacrifice all those things to do what's right for the country. That's why I believe it's that important. While the difference in politics between the Republicans and Democrats can be quite strong, understatement of the evening there. The love of the veteran and military communities can bring them together. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not cheesy or cornball. I believe that entirely. I've done it. For those that are willing and open-minded enough to listen, man, be literal and quite honest here. The fact that some of you listen to this show, this program, and are watching tonight, I don't even know, but I have a good idea which ones. It's the usual suspects. You guys are from all over the country. You look all kinds of different. You're female, you're male, you're brown, you're white, you're black, you're green, you're orange, you're Republican, you're Democrat. That's what watches my show, and the ones that watch it later and they get on the forum and post, you guys are a whole bunch of other things. I like that. That's good. Why? And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to exaggerate it a point here, but I'm going to say it because I think at your core, you really do believe that I don't lie to you, and the things that I'm doing are actually trying to move this country forward. Country before party. I think you do believe that. And I think that's quite literally why you keep watching. Even when I say things you may not like. Hell, I say things I don't like sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, it's intellectual curiosity. You got to get it out there. You have to have discussion. You may not want to hear it. You may not believe it. And you may not even want to go with it. And I'm going to say I'll entirely defend your right to be against and counter. All I've ever asked is you give the other person the benefit of the doubt and give them an open mind. And don't just assume that the other side is against you tooth and nail and that they're wrong out of hand before you even have the conversation with them. I don't believe that. In total, there will be at least 78 veterans in the House of Representatives. That's a good number. Not quite a quarter, but we're getting there. There will be at least 78 veterans in the House of Representatives and 19 in the Senate. Nearly, it's probably around the same. We're looking at it, I'm not doing the hard calculation here, but it's about 20% in either chamber, House and Senate. Maybe we get it to a quarter. That is a total of 97 veterans out of a 500-person Congress, larger than that, obviously, 435 plus 100. About 19%, and while 19% isn't a majority, can that be enough to influence what happens to our military and veterans? I think that's easy. It helped in the past. These are questions the military community will need to ask and are why it is important to be aware of who is winning elections and what they are working for. So I can ask you the simple and the obvious. Can it affect and will it help with veterans and veteran issues current? Absolutely. I think that's simplistic. I don't think that's a big issue for any of us to agree on. Here's the larger question and the larger concept and quite literally the genesis of the rationale for today's show. Can that 19% in either House, Senate, or House of Representatives, can they move the needle when it comes to this country? Can they move the needle when it comes to legislation that affects the country? I say yay. I say yay. I'm going to provide you tonight with a few examples, concrete examples of things that are going on right now that have been moved and are moving because of veterans in the Congress currently. on the left and the right, both Dem and Republican. I'm being a little facetious here, but I'll toss this out at you. It's kind of a secret, but I'm going to let you in on the secret. Just don't tell anybody. The reality is that most vets are not uniformly or in an obligatory fashion hard left or hard right. They're usually, ladies and gentlemen, somewhere in that good middle where they believe in getting along with the other person even if they have a fundamental difference about a few items. They believe in getting along. Ladies and gentlemen, we're structured that way. Mission accomplishment is more important than personal want. Isn't that a good thing to have in the Congress? That's a rhetorical question. I think you know the answer. Obviously, it's a good thing. But I'm telling you directly, I think that way. And a good percentage and a good majority, and definitely a lot of these vets that are getting elected, they're not far left or far right. They may be a little more here and there, depending on the issue, as I've stated for myself. Correct? I've said that a bunch of times. But they are more likely to cooperate with each other because they understand mission accomplishment before personal want. Now that's critical. That's important. And isn't that of value in a Congress and a time politically when personal want, corruption, and outright just doing whatever the hell you want is more important than mission accomplishment? What's the mission? Make this country better, damn it. Get it right. Do some good things. Eliminate the evil. Eliminate the corruption. Eliminate the bad. Take care of people that need it. Hey, look, I'm a brown guy on a white horse. I believe in going out there and doing what's right for other people. I can take care of myself. I don't need things done for me. I honestly believe that when you're that strong, you have to go out and help others. You don't want to get on the good book now because that's what it says. Yes, I'll give me a preacher man to come up and preach for me, but I think you get the point. So I'm entirely optimistic about those numbers that I just gave to you. Let me give them to you one more time. In total, there will be at least 78 vets in the House of Representatives and 19 in the Senate. That is a total of 97 vets total out of a 535-member body in the House and the Senate. 19%. Can they? I ask you the rhetorical question again. Again, you know the answer. That's why it's rhetorical. Can that be enough to influence what happens to our military and veterans? Yes. Can that be enough to influence what happens within the body of Congress and the direction of our country? I say, yay. The answer is yes. I do believe that. That's why I do think it's significant and important that more vets do run. So some of you guys that are on my left side and maybe Democrat, you will understand that there are 3 veterans currently running for the presidency. They are Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii in the House of Representatives, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who is the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and Seth Moulton, who is a legislator and a congressman from Boston, Massachusetts. And I got to tell you, I think I maybe decried this the other night. I brought up Seth Moulton, and I don't know the guy. I've never met him personally. I think I am going to reach out to him. But he is the only member of that body of 24 members now running, the only one that is a combat vet. He's a Marine. He's a Marine. Notice how I said he is. Old soldiers don't just die off. We remain somewhere. We're always still a soldier. I never stopped being a soldier, and I never stopped believing in my oath to the Constitution. And I'm going to guess Mr. Moulton is the same way. If you get into the details of some of his policies and his beliefs, some of them might be a little left for you if you're to the right, but some of them are right up the middle, and they're good for this damn country. That guy is willing to put his neck out there, and he's aggravated and angered his leadership in the Democratic Party because he believes in doing what he believes is right for the country. That's a Democrat. That's a veteran. So those 3, Pete Buttigieg, mayor of South Bend, Tulsi Gabbard, congresswoman, Hawaii, and Seth Moulton, congressman, Boston, Massachusetts. Give them a look and a listen. Unfortunately, I think at this point, other than Buttigieg, Gabbard and Moulton are having a difficult time. And I'm really disappointed. I said that the other night. Really disappointed because Moulton, he's different. But then again, so am I. I have people that don't take a shine to me real quick until they get to know me. And then they see it's not just about being friendly or me kissing up to you and being nice to you. It's about a rationale, a discipline, a belief set, a skill set, a value set. And once you get to know me, you'll be with me entirely. And nothing will derail you from understanding. No blinding light that tries to move you one way or the other will take you away from the things that I say to you on a nightly basis, if not bi-nightly basis, about what I believe in. Mr. Moulton is honest. He's to the point. He has clear beliefs. He's actually trying to help our veterans with PTSD. And he's a 4-tour combat vet. A 4-tour combat Marine veteran. There was another time in this country where that actually means something. Yeah. The Democratic Party hasn't elected a combat vet since John F. Kennedy. Kerry got swift-voted. I did vote for Kerry. And you guys can say whatever you want him, but that dude was a damn good vet, and they made him look bad. That's the world in which we live in, right? Make them look bad. Don't talk about the good things, talk about the bad. My point being is we don't get vets elected anymore. By the way, I haven't seen the Republican Party offering them up either. So both parties, I'll say it, shame on you. Both parties, shame on you. You've got great people that are willing to sacrifice themselves for this country, and you don't give them a look or a listen. That's unfortunate. Not for me, but for this country. Okay, let me give you some particulars. I'm going to give you the actual names of all the new people that came into office. I'm going to name them. Know the rule here. We don't name the bad people, the evildoers. We name the good people, the good doers. Jason Crow, Colorado, Democrat, U.S. Army. Mike Waltz, Florida, Republican, United States Army. Greg Stoib, Florida, Republican, United States Army. Jim Baird, Indiana, Republican, United States Army. Greg Pence, Indiana, Republican, Marine Corps. You know the name there. I do respect that. Steve Watkins, Kansas, Republican, United States Army. Mikey Sherrill, New Jersey, Democrat, United States Navy. Max Rose, New York, Democrat, United States Army. Chrissy Houlihan, Pennsylvania, Democrat, United States Air Force. Guy Reschenthaler, hope I got that right, Pennsylvania, Republican, United States Navy. William Timmons, South Carolina, Republican, United States Army. Mark Green, Tennessee, Republican, United States Army. Dan Crenshaw, that's a beast, Texas, Republican, United States Navy, former SEAL, the guy with the one eye patch. Van Taylor, Texas, Republican, United States Marine Corps. Elaine Luria, Virginia, Democrat, United States Navy. Denver Riggleman, that's a cool name, Virginia, Republican, United States Air Force. Gil Cisneros, California, Democrat, United States Navy. Jared Golden, Maine, Democrat, United States Marine Corps. And Rick Scott, Florida, Republican, United States Navy. And he was in the Senate. All the others were in the Congress. Rick Scott is now in the United States Senate. So I'm reading those because I value them that much. I do think it's significant. I do think the numbers are shifting. I do think that now that you have more vets in the Congress, you are more likely to get more legislation done. Case in point, as I alluded to a little earlier, here's one. Some of you may not like it when I start it, but you're going to understand the importance of it. Okay. The recent Tax Cut and Jobs Act resulted in lower income and corporate tax rates. That's the byline. But, and this is all fact, and I've researched it myself, but an unintended consequence of the 2017 tax cuts overhaul was a significant tax hike for families whose loved ones lost their lives while serving as active duty military members. Consider that. Quote it, said the Raven. I'm going to say that again. The result of the 2017 tax cut was a significant tax hike for families whose loved ones lost their lives while serving as active duty military members. You heard me correctly. Now, I'm not going to beat up one side and say, oh, you guys are dirty. No, by far no. You can call it an oversight or a mistake, in which case, yeah, you might want to beat them up. There should be better than that, right? These are Gold Star families. Gold Star families, as they are commonly referred to, are eligible to receive, I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts of how this works and the reason why these people have lost money under the tax cuts. Gold Star families are commonly referred to, are eligible to receive two forms of compensation for their losses. Their losses, ladies and gentlemen, are dead Americans. Let's put a bow on that and make sure you understand it. Yellow ribbon, baby. They're eligible to receive two forms of compensation for their losses. One is a monthly stipend from the Department of Veterans Affairs. The other is an insurance annuity from the Department of Defense. Because current law bars military widows from receiving the full amount of both benefits, some recipients choose to transfer the insurance annuity to their children to circumvent the rule. The whole point and the fact that they have to actually attempt to circumvent the rule so they don't go broke with the money that they're not getting for losing a loved one in combat or in war is hysterical to me. That's quite laughable. It is. Before the new tax code was implemented, children whose surviving parent, again, Gold Star family, somebody lost a dad, somebody lost a mom. Children whose surviving parent put the benefits in their names were taxed at their parents' rate. But after the tax code changed, the IRS began to tax the benefit as a trust or estate, which led to significant tax hikes. Gold Star families who previously faced 12% to 15% tax rates on the benefit started to report rates that were up to 3 times higher, according to Task and Purpose, a military-focused publication that is nonpartisan. It's about our vets. So watch this. Where do I go with that? That's not good, but I'm not going to beat up a side. I don't do that. I don't need to. I'm not petty. I'm honest. Legislators from both sides of the aisle. See what we're doing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Feel that? Can you feel the love tonight? That was a good Disney movie. Can you feel the love tonight? Legislators from both sides of the aisle, at the urging of Navy vet and Democratic Congresswoman Elaine Luria, sought to fix the glitch. Now, she's a rookie. She's a rookie. She just came in, and she jumped on this immediately. That's a good Navy girl right there. Congresswoman Elaine Luria sought to fix the glitch before Memorial Day with the Gold Star Families Tax Relief Act. They came very close. So on this Tuesday, passed a while ago, the Senate unanimously passed a fix that would change the category of the benefit from unearned income to earned income. The House of Representatives immediately followed suit and passed a solution that was wrapped into a retirement savings package. The vote was, ladies and gentlemen, 417 to 3 in the House. Outstanding. This, by the way, is for all of you out there that think nothing's happening in the Congress. There are some things going on. It may be the mantra to say, oh, Congress isn't doing nothing. That's pretty damn good. Those are Americans that gave their lives, lost their lives, and their families are suffering. And in a bipartisan fashion, see how it goes? In a bipartisan fashion, they got together and came up with a 417 to 3 vote to pass this fix so that these people who have lost loved ones fighting for you and I so we can sit here and talk smack about politics all night, so we can address their issues so they don't go broke and poor because of a loophole that somebody didn't even bother to take a look at. I'm going to guess it was people that weren't vets and don't understand the rationale and the understanding of the why the Gold Star families got hit a little extra hard because of the tax cut. 417 to 3. If the House had passed the same version of the bill, it would have gone to the President's desk for signature because the House attempted to encase it in a larger bill related to retirement savings. The Senate had to unanimously vote to approve the House version and failed to do so. That's ugly. So it's not done yet. So here we go. Senator Ted Cruz, Texas Republican, opposed the language of the retirement savings measure, according to CNN. He reportedly wanted the bill's language to extend the use of 529 plans to homeschooling expenses, tutoring, and test preps, among other things. You see how that goes. I thought this was a simple one. I thought it was just like, take care of that. And you know how this works, ladies and gentlemen. All kinds of things get tossed in, and next thing you know, it isn't going to happen. So members of, and this is, again, the shiny, bright object, the good object that you want to focus on, members of the new for country. You hear that? Remember this. For country. There's a novel concept. The members of the new for country bipartisan congressional caucus helped lead the change and the charge to make the Gold Star bill a priority in the first place. After the group's endorsement of the act, the list of co-sponsors in the House has grown to 155, a big feat in a Congress that has only passed 18 laws since January. This is an older piece, by the way. I'm bringing it up to you because it got kind of buried. Rep. Van Taylor, a founding member of the caucus, again, the four-country caucus. A founding member of the caucus says his experience in the Marines taught him how to work with people from various backgrounds. In the military, you don't get to pick your peers, you don't get to pick your superiors, or the people that work for you. Those are assigned to you. And your job is to make sure it gets done. There's another novel concept. Can you imagine all the Congress just doing the damn job? Not complaining about what they don't have to work with? His point is, you work with whoever's there. That's Van Taylor. I'm with that guy entirely. So last bit here. Congress isn't that different. Members of the caucus hope to teach that lesson to their legislative peers. I'm optimistic that they will do so. I'm optimistic that they'll take the lead. By the way, Seth Moulton's the guy who actually tried to take out Nancy Pelosi. He believes in new leadership. Do with that what you want. But he's not waiting. He believes that the people who have gone to war, sent by the people who sent them to war, need to actually start making the decisions for war. And I agree with him. I'm truly hopeful that we can solve this problem, Taylor says, of the Gold Star family tax issue. But what I will say is, there's no doubt in my mind, for country, the caucus, made up of bipartisan congressmen and women, is making an impact in the U.S. House. I want to hear that. I like that. That is music to this old soldier's ears. Because you've got members that are focused on getting things done rather than scoring partisan political points. Rai Barkat, the co-founder and CEO of the cross-partisan organization With Honor, started a movement to get more veterans like Taylor elected to public office. He says the Congressional Caucus for country is off to a great start. From tax hikes on Gold Star families to fighting for safer routes for logging trucks, these members from both sides of the aisle are leading the charge to get things done in Congress, he said. Legislators from outside of the caucus haven't given up on the tax fix either. Though it won't be rectified in time for Memorial Day, this was a little while ago, they're working on it now. It's the right thing to do, and they are confident it will get done. If anything, maybe we make this more of an issue and force them to get it done because, oh yeah, that's that other part of a democracy, right? People actually have to engage and force our legislators to do the damn job. Got two more for you. That one was a heavy one because that was a mistake in this tax cut. And the Gold Star families, the people that have lost their life or lost their loved ones to war in Iraq or Afghanistan or somewhere else, are taking it on the chin, and we're losing money and we're going broke because of it. That's sorry. They're getting it done. I'm going to remember that one. For country caucus, bipartisan legislators that are both Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. Working together because as they stipulated, and I believe fundamentally, and in no small measure, I do try to do that with you. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to admit it. I do try to shame you once in a while into feeling bad about something that is good because I need to move you and I need you to understand that there are things that are going on that we need to be hyper aware of and hyper on top of. These guys are doing that. I hope that they put some shame and some respect on the rest of the Congressional Caucus, Democrat and Republican, and force them to conduct themselves in a better manner. Start doing things for your country, not for yourself. Start talking about what you're doing with your country, not what you're getting out of it, or how good you look, or how great you are. That's what these guys are doing. That's why I'm optimistic. I think I'll hold at that one because there was another, but I think you get the general gist of the point. The point is that there are more than ever before, going back some time now, veterans in Congress, the number is increasing, and I'm going to bring this back full circle to the beginning of the conversation. And something that I had said, just recently on the Monday and even back into last week. So the post 9/11, and I've got that here just as a point to remember that I did not forget tonight. If you were a Persian Gulf War vet, my time, late 80s into the 90s, then you are most likely or more than likely Generation X, unless you were an older dog and you were a commander at the time. And you were left over from the Vietnam era. There wasn't a lot. There were some, but not a lot. Okay, so the majority of people, young guys that went to serve in the Persian Gulf, and that did the damage there in that time period, 1990, then you are more than likely Generation X. Okay? Not baby boomers. Not baby boomers. You're Generation X. That's what I am. All right? If you are 9/11 and after Iraq and Afghanistan, you are most likely millennials. There were some that were Gen X that stayed in and maybe served. But I'm talking about the young soldiers in the trenches, the young dudes, the privates, the ensigns, the youngest ones, the lance corporals, okay, the ones that do the dirty work day to day, that are out there going to fight for us, not the commanders, not the senior non-commissioned officers. Then you're most likely a millennial. My son is a millennial. He pulled his tour in Iraq. He's a millennial. I'm Gen X. Why is that significant? Here's why. Because you're getting more of these vets now, currently, Iraq and Afghanistan veterans that have served since 9/11 that are millennials. They're asking questions like, why were we there? Why did I go serve? Now bear in mind, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be really, really clear, and this is a lucid point for you, and I'm going to be 100% clear. I was not for the Iraq war. I thought it was stupid. I didn't think there were weapons of mass destruction, and I didn't think that Iraq posed a clear and present danger to us. I didn't think they had the ability to do anything to us, other than throw some stuff at us, some rocks maybe. They were no clear and present danger to us. And when we went to war, I said that it was a mistake, and I would not have voted for it. It's different once you're in, right? Maybe I changed my mind. I don't think so. I'm not that fundamentally different. It was wrong, okay? Now, hold that for a second. And if I can't, for emphasis, be a little more clear, it was wrong. Get the understanding? A little bit of hyperbole, maybe. A little bit more emphasis on the emotional side. It was a wrong thing to do. Send us to war for something that didn't exist. It's wrong. Now that that's clear, let's move it to the side. Totally lacking in emotion and emotionless. My son served in that region in Iraq as an infantryman, not as a communication guy, not as a transportation guy, as an infantryman in Iraq, south of Mosul, just north of Baghdad. And I didn't believe in that war, but he pulled his duty. He served his country, because it isn't about what you want, it's about what the country needs. Now I have issue with the country and what they did and how they did it, but I believe in my country as a whole and not the people that run it. I want to make sure I'm 100% clear about that, because some of you guys are going to have issue with some of the things I say. I believe in my country. I don't believe in the individuals that run it. Maybe they do some good things, maybe they don't. But my loyalty will always be to the piece of paper that I swore on. It won't be to any individual. That's done, ladies and gentlemen. The only loyalty I got like that is to my mother. That's the only person I've got loyalty like that to. And if you have loyalty like that to an individual before your country, you need to start questioning whether you're really for this country and what it stands for. Illustrate the point one last time. I didn't believe in the Iraq war. I didn't believe in being there. I didn't believe in the rationale for sending our kids there. My son went and pulled his duty in Iraq. That's American. I'm not trying to make you feel less, but I want you to understand where I come from here, and to this thing I call my country. Okay? Those are the people right now, those young people, they're coming out, and they're going to be heard. They're getting into congressional seats. They're in their 30s, some in their early 40s. Now you have some coming in their 20s. And they're getting involved. They're going to do more. And they are openly questioning what we have been doing with this thing, this country of ours. They see that we've been like poor stewards of how we've made our decisions. They want answers. And they're not going to be satisfied with half-step answers and prevarications and lies. The good thing, though, is what I just read to you right now. They are absolutely willing to sit down with their counterparts, whether they're Democrat or Republican, and they're willing to work together and place country before party. You need to seriously think about that, because if these young people can do that, you better start asking yourself why you can't. I don't know about you, but I hear a lot about how bad this millennial generation is. I've got concrete and legitimate examples of they're doing it better than we did. They're doing it better than we have done. They're willing to put aside their personal beliefs for the good of the country. That's what some of these, I'm not saying all of them, don't get me wrong, there's some crazy little millennials out there that they need an education. But, and I mean a lot more than just an education, but there's some damn good ones out there. And I'm going to say it again. If they can get that right, if they can work together, if they can put aside personal differences, then why can't you? Why can't we? That's a rhetorical question. The answer should be simple. It should be, but it's not quite clarifying. Now, I'm bringing this up and I'm having this show tonight on this particular topic because I see what's coming adequately, and I know it's not going to be pleasant and it's going to be ugly. But I'm asking you to keep yourself even keel. I'm asking you to keep yourself fair. I'm asking you to keep yourself open-minded. I'm asking you directly to not just believe in an obligatory fashion, blindly, whatever the hell you hear, because it's what you want to hear. There was a time when we used to want the truth. There was a time when it was not satisfying enough to have somebody tell you what you want to hear, and then you ran down the road and everything's all good. That's where we're headed right now. That's what's coming. And if we don't get square, we are going to end up on opposite ends. And by the way, those of you guys out there posting all this, we're going to be at war with each other, civil war stuff. Grow the hell up. Grow the hell up. I noticed that the majority of you posting that stuff, you've never actually been to war. And you want to talk about civil war. There's my emotion for the evening. You like that? That's funny. That's really funny. Keep yourself clean. And this hyperbolic, insightful anger that you've got in you, spitting out, you want there to be something like that. I know I don't. I know where I'll line up. You need to think about that for yourself. Okay? Squash it. Shut it down. Get that mess out of here. That's not American. That's anti-American. That is anti-American, not American. What is American is these new young people coming, these vets in Congress that actually work together, that actually sit down and have discussion and bring up serious issues and find a way to get the problem solved. That's American. That's the way it was supposed to be originally. For all of you guys that like to talk about how you have a belief in constitutionality, that's the Constitution operating at its best. When people of different minds, different regions, different geographies, different religions, different look, different ethnicity, get down to business and handle the country's business in a bipartisan, and I'll say it, and I posted this on the page, sometimes in a nonpartisan fashion. Think about that. Bipartisanship is one party working with the other party. Nonpartisanship is when somebody actually doesn't even see party. Nonpartisan. They just want to do what's right. That's my warning for you. That is my preparation for you. That is my shield for you to protect against the garbage that's coming, because you do know it's coming. I see it everywhere. Arm yourself adequately. Defend yourself adequately. And remember, when you come here, this is a safe space. This is a safe space where there is truth. I actually give a damn about my responsibility to you, not telling you something that is factually incorrect, even when you don't want to hear it. I'll always tell you the truth. That's my show tonight. Swainbo will be back on Friday. We'll have some fun. Let's make it more fun, right? Get a little bit off this ugly stuff. Let's have some fun on the Friday with Swainbo as we wrap up our series on education, and he gets ready to go off into, matter of fact, he's going to have an update because, I won't go too far because I'm going to let Swainbo take care of it, but the Central Unified Teachers Association, the group that my wife is the president of, and the third largest in Central California of a body of professionals, teachers, psychologists, nurses, counselors, they have just settled and they have a new contract, and it's going to be, they're compensated adequately, not the best, but it was better than what they had before, and they're happy. And that's good because you want happy teachers teaching happy little kids, right? So that'll be Friday. I'll see you guys with Swainbo. And I want you to seriously think about the things that I discussed with you today with a sense of gravity that you can tell in the tone of voice, even with the chuckle and the laugh. I'll have you back. Comment freely tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I will go home tonight. I'm going to check my comments. And one last little sidebar. The people that watch this and that comment and get into the Facebook group and engage, not on the SuperMex Nation forum page, but on the actual page when we're on air, you guys are quite literally why I enjoy what I do, because you actually attempt to work together. You don't get negative with each other. You definitely disagree on some things, but you treat each other with respect. You treat each other with civility. You treat each other with courtesy. And when it's all over and done, you go off into the night not harboring any evil or hate or anger in your system, and you come back the next day ready to go for the next show. I got none but love for that. SuperMex has nothing but love for that. I'll see you guys on Friday. Thank you very much. SuperMex is out.